So the
£40,000.
Yeah, so £40,000 leaves my bank. This is the gin school experience. So you get the tour, you get tasters, you get drinks free all afternoon.
How good is that? So if you design your own gin and you happen to make the best gin you've ever tasted, Sam can continue to make that gin for you for the rest of your days. Name 3 of your gins that will be ideal for Mother's Day gifts.
Rhubarb, cherry, and
agri. It's got to be the agri one.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
We've just arrived at Wrekin Gin. So this is actually a working farm. So you've got some poultry sheds, the arable farmers growing obviously rapeseed and crops, and they've diversified and turned an old cattle barn into a distillery. So get out the rain, get inside and see what's going on in here. Meet Sam. So this is Sam Mosley. So he lives on the farm here. So Sam, tell us ultimately how Wrekin Gin started and how you ended up doing it on a working farm.
So it was Mum's idea initially, a crazy idea. She went for gin school in Leicester with her sister for their birthday back in 2017, and she really loved it. It was literally in a shed just like this one.
Yeah.
And the idea sort of sparked there, that we could do this, we could set this up at home, because this was an old shed. It's fallen down, you know, the roof was knackered, storing a tractor and some old logs, and she sort of said we could do this. So she came home, proposed the idea to the family, and yeah, it just sort of snowballed from there. Grandpa started doing designs for all sorts, plumbing and electrics, tiling bathrooms, all sorts of stuff like that. He was on it, and it just snowballed one thing led to another, and here we are 7 years later.
So you just showed me some pictures. I'll take some pictures of the photos actually and put them on so you can see. So it was completely direct, just an old barn, and it's amazing in here now. Obviously the old wooden beams.
All original, yeah.
All original and everything.
All original as well.
So I can see we've got a little bar here showcasing all your fantastic products and gins. So all the flavourings from your gins, obviously other than the Botanicals, so I can see the plum gin there and the slows and things like that. Are they all picked off the farm?
Yeah, so that was another sort of reason we wanted to do it, was to try and tie in the farm as much as we could. So the farm financed it, so it's quite nice, and we literally developed those gins because we looked around. We thought, what have we got around here that we can actually use? You know, like it was really important, sustainability, low food miles, things like that. So we had plum trees, cherry trees, got sloes on all the hedges of the farm, and then we grew some rhubarb as well. And just sort of looked around, what can we get from here, and what tastes good, and that's what we ended up doing. And I planted another orchard, sort of keep us future-proofed. So
yeah.
About 24 cherry trees and 8 plum trees, so I've got to see how they develop over the next few years.
So I have had a play, ultimately they end up as liqueurs, don't they? So starting off with, I actually use vodka and I steep them in with junipers.
Yeah.
So that's the differential, isn't it? So vodka, it's only gin, what's it? Junipers rather, doesn't
Junipers
it?
is the key botanical. Yeah, vodka you just want to try and be sort of as pure and as neat as it can.
Yeah.
Where you start getting the flavourings. Juniper is key, because that's where the word gin comes from. It's the Dutch word for juniper.
Right. So then, for every year now, I've made slow gin. It's one of my favourites in winter, and then I had a little play with some rhubarb gin. Again, just steeping the rhubarb in the gin and things like that. It turned out all right, but obviously never as great as the real thing. But how many gins are you doing now producing? Different variety ones.
So different flavours of our brand, we do 8. So we've got our original citrus twist, rose herb, the pumpkin spice, which that's got the glitter in.
Yeah, all right.
Which is people always seem to love that aspect.
Yeah.
Then the rhubarb, plum, cherry.
Look at that now in the bottle. It's like a river table, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just edible glitter in that is. So
right.
It doesn't change taste at all, just change.
It's just visual.
Bit of a novelty aspect. And we obviously do a few other flavours for the custom gins. So we make gins for the people, like the agri-contract one, which has got your honey in it.
Well, plug there for the agri-contract gin. Yeah, so also we've got our borage on it. So Sam distills that gin, working with obviously Ollie Blogs, Ollie Harrison, who you've seen on our channel, and we're obviously on Ollie's, and using, as I said, our borage gin in there as well. So not just saying it, but one of my favourite gins of all time, that one. And you can also come up here and do the gin experience, can't you?
Yeah, so we do distillery tours and gin schools. So distillery tour is a bit simpler. It's just a standard tour. You get drinks, tasters, and a tour around all the kit next door.
Go on, Sam, go behind the bar and show me how it works. Go on.
And then you've got this is the gin school experience. So you get the tour, you get tasters, you get drinks free all afternoon. and then you come over here onto the small stills and you make your own bottle. So you start off with alcohol and water in here, that's just sort of standard way, and then using these 4 botanicals here, you start with your base, and then you're pretty much just let loose. You can make
just to play with.
Yeah, you can make your own creation. So you look over there, you've got about 60 botanicals you can choose from.
So we've got rhubarb root, rose, pineapple, apple. So each one of these will...
Spices on the bottom row.
All the spices on the bottom row there. So you can literally... borage seeds as well. Do it to your own taste.
Yeah, so we guide you a little bit, but we pretty much leave it up to you. We've had some people that are a little bit stubborn in their flavouring, so you try and persuade them, but then just chuck in a load of chili flakes in or something like that, and you've got plausible deniability because you guide them, but they're happy with it either way, even if it is disgusting.
I love the idea of making your own. So once you've made your own gin, I take it they're recording what they put in?
Yeah, so they put what they have down there, so they get that bottle to take home with them. So they do the waxing as well, so they wax the top, and that's their bottle, they take that home with them. And they can either take the recipes home, or we can keep them, and if they want us to make that bottle again,
you will make that?
We'll make that bottle again for them, yeah.
How good is that? So if you design your own gin, and you happen to make the best gin you've ever tasted, Sam can continue to make that gin for you for the rest of your days. Yeah,
and this is how Ollie's gin came about, because he was, obviously, him and Charlotte were in here, and they made their bottle. I think it was Charlotte was mainly leading that one, but yeah, that's how their gin came about. There you go, Charlotte.
Apparently you're the drinker. But no, I love it. I love it. I mean, we do. I have seen, obviously online, some gin schools adverts, things like that. But to see it in the flesh, it's the first time I've been in one, and it just looks amazing. So how many people could you cater for group wise?
So we can do up to 20. So it tends to be in couples. So 10 couples.
Yeah.
Or if you wanted a still each, we could do 10. So we do our sort of public ones where you can just book online on the available dates.
Yep.
Up to sort of 6 months time. Or you can book out privately if you've got 8 or more people.
So hen do's, parties, things like that?
Yeah, we've had hen do's, we've had sort of just family get-togethers, 30th birthdays, whatever it might be, 50ths, the lot, so...
Oh, you just like making a gin? So.
Yeah.
I'm not a big speaker in those, does it get quite rowdy in here as well?
Yeah, so it can do. I mean, we had when we first started out, we were testing it. We had mum's friend had a 50th, and they had sort of 20 people in, and our licence ended at 11, so we couldn't serve alcohol, so you started cracking open their own gins and drinking what they'd just made. So it can be quite interesting, the later night ones, yeah.
Because we've just discussed maybe a campsite or something like that, so you can come make your own gins and then camp out. But this is obviously small scale, so this is not where you make your big batch gin, is it?
We do some trials on here, and then this is where people make their own bottles.
Yeah.
We'll head next door to see where we make ours.
So this is the big boy kit.
Yeah.
Listen to that rain on the roof.
It gets really loud in here when it starts raining. So that's where we make our gin. So it's a 400 litre copper still. So it makes about 500 bottles in one batch.
500 bottles.
And it takes about 8 to 10 hours to do one batch.
So was this designed purely for yourself? Is this your own?
Yeah, so
custom made?
All the equipment is fairly sort of standard. You get that with most distilleries, but it was made to fit the space.
Right.
So they came in, looked at the sort of space we had, so I can't make the shed any bigger than it is.
Yeah.
And they designed it to fit. So you see it goes all the way along there, and it goes all the way down there as well. So it's made to fit the space, yeah.
So talk us through the full process of the big kit then, from start to finish.
Alright, so we'll start over here, because this is what you start with. So we've got our base spirit, neutral grain spirit, so it's ethanol, wheat based, so 96% alcohol by volume.
Right.
So you drink that, it'll take your head off. And the cost is something that tends to astonish people. So we buy this in 1,000 litre IBC.
I've just noticed it there.
Yeah, so if you look through there are the costs of what I pay when I buy this. So
£40,000.
Yeah, so £40,000 leaves my bank. Only £2,500 of that is buying the actual alcohol itself, and then 31,500, which has just gone up actually. This was last year, so it's just gone up. About £32,000 probably now is tax duty. So it goes straight to the government. Yeah, and then you've got the VAT on top of that as well.
Oh my god! Oh my days!
That'll make about 2,500 bottles.
Right, so there's 2,500 bottles in there. So next time somebody's moaning about the price of gin going up, or it's costing £30 a bottle, £35 a bottle, that's why.
Yeah, so pretty much in a 700 milliliter bottle of 40% gin or vodka, same spirit. About £9 of that is just duty.
Scary, isn't it? So from obviously the base ethanol, then where do we go next?
So it gets, you charge the still, which means you fill the still up.
Yep.
So
is this just your boiler?
No, this is the gin tote, so that's where it ends up at the end.
Ah,
so
right.
the boiler is over there, around here.
All right.
So it's a steam boiler, so at the bottom of that still is a steam lance, and it just has steam pumped into it essentially to heat it up. It's much safer than an electrical heater.
Yeah.
And I mean, in some like Nordic countries and stuff, they use actual fire, which is also really dangerous when you're working with alcohol.
But it's controlling, isn't it, as well? You know what I mean? So you've never got a consistent temperature, have you? If you're having to constantly stoke that fire.
Ours is all done from this computer over here. So you can just change things. I mean, I've got to put the code in. So.
I'm not sure your code.
So you can see here, everything's controlled from here. The steam, when you're charging the still, filling up the water, filling up the IBCs, everything is done from here.
Computerized.
And you can just see it all there and change the weight.
And that's giving you a consistent product every single time.
So
as long as your measurement, your botanicals.
We literally do the same process every time, same amount of botanicals weighed in, same amount of everything for pretty much the same time, and you should end up with a pretty consistent spirit.
So this kit is actually going to open it for us.
You can open it up. So there's a steam lance in the bottom.
So that's just warming that liquid up in there, that distillate.
Yeah. So we put in there 180 litres of alcohol of the 96%.
Yep.
And 120 litres of water.
Okay.
So it's about 65% in there when it starts.
And why do you add the water to the?
Basically, because you've got to have the water covering the steam lance.
Right.
You evaporate all the alcohol off. So if you just had alcohol and boiled it all off, you'd have nothing in there, and it would be like boiling a kettle dry. It'd damage the equipment and stuff like that. So it's basically just essentially carry the alcohol.
Yeah.
So you heat it to 80 degrees because that's when alcohol boils and the water stays, and then it goes through the swan neck into the botanicals basket.
So this is where you put all your flavourings, all your botanicals in.
So normally you've got all the juniper, and depending on the type of gin, so for our citrus twist, for example, you'll have all the citrus peels, lemon peel, orange peel, things like that. And then for the rose herb one, you'll have the herbs. And it just depends, whatever gin you're doing, put them in there, and you get different flavours.
And then this bit of kit is what? Because that is
the rectifying column.
The rectifier.
So it goes, the steam goes into there, goes up and down, and you have steam getting fired through it. Oh God, it's a complicated bit of kit, and I don't fully understand it sometimes.
So
sometimes these will fill up and flood, and you have to drain it back into the still.
Right.
And then basically some of it goes over, and all the time it's going through this, it's reacting with the copper. So we use copper because, well, most distilleries do, because it takes out impurities in the alcohol. It gives you a better tasting spirit.
Right.
And then once it goes over there, it goes into the condensing column. So
this is cooling the steam down from the end pot.
Yeah, so it comes through as a gas, and basically that just has a coil of water that gets pumped around at 120 litres per minute.
Right.
Water gets pumped around that, and it just cools the gas down, and it comes into the safe as a liquid at 85%. So that's your gin ready to go.
So these spirit safes, so is this so the government knows how much you're producing, so they know what to tax you on, or is this just to?
This is just
because it's so strong.
It's just to store it essentially. It just comes through, and it means that you can flip this and put it into different safes. Yeah. Because you have the heads, which comes through first, which doesn't have all the right flavour, sort of doesn't make the gin taste good. So you basically take a cut. So you take the first 5 or 10% off. Yeah. And then you've got the hearts.
Where does that go?
That goes back into the next run. You just reuse it again to pick up the flavours again, essentially. And then you've got the hearts, which is the next bit, which is the good bit. That's the good stuff that you want to use. And that's sort of most of the batch is that. Yeah. And then you've got the end bit, which is the tails. So when it drops below 70%, it starts to taste a bit rubbish, a bit bitter, so you tend to get rid of that as well.
And what does that go back into the pot?
Yeah, it goes back into still to be used next time. It's still got alcohol content. Yeah. Still sort of expensive alcohol that you can use.
And flavour, ultimately, isn't it?
Yeah, so it goes back in the next run, just to be used again. And then once it's done there, so it's 85%, comes into the gin coat, and that's where the water's added. Right. So you just add the water, and you lower it to whatever percentage you want. So we do all of ours at 40%.
So yeah, we're just going to say, so that water's not it's ultimately to temper it down, isn't it? Because otherwise it would be too strong. So what's it come out of the still at?
85%.
So 85, so you wouldn't want to be drinking 85%
So we add the water, drop it down to about 40%, but it can be between 37.5 and 42.5 to be a gin. Or you can have navy gin at 59.
At 59%. And again, was it so strong, navy gin? That's what it keeps, or?
I think that's just what they liked out on the seas, wasn't it, probably? And that's where pink gin actually comes from, is sailors. And it was a cure for seasickness.
And what did they use?
Angostura bitters.
Alright.
And they added that to the gin.
Because I know they had citrus.
Because it was
to prevent scurvy, didn't they?
Yeah, well, the Angostura bitters were used to stop seasickness, but they couldn't drink it by itself because it was tasted rank. So they put it in gin and drank it, and it was supposed to be a cure for seasickness.
Okay.
Back in the 1700s, I think. I'm not 100% sure.
Every day is a school day, I didn't know. And so that tempering down, is that done digitally as well, or by the computer? Or
yeah, so there's just a pipe that comes in from the mains, gets filtered in a filter over there.
Yeah.
And just gets plugged in. So it's got a scale on it, so you see there, turn the scale on, add whatever you need to, and then it can get pumped round and tested as well, so you have to test it to make sure it's the right percentage.
Is that a taste test or a?
No, it's a percentage test.
Percentage test.
It has to be between, we get 0.5% either way.
Yeah.
So if we say it's 40%, it's allowed to be 39.5 to 40.5.
Yeah.
But
so then, and this is your stored gin, isn't it? So this is already done, waiting to be bottled?
Yeah, so you've got a citrus and that's just water next to it. But there, so that's about 200 litres of pure gin there.
And you distill what? Is that to temper that down?
Yeah.
So you just don't use
that's the charge to distill at the start as well.
Ah, right. So it's all like pure, clean,
so this
not tap water.
To measure the alcohol percentage, we use this. So it's an Anton Par density meter. And how much do you reckon that costs?
Do you know what?
Just for a small handheld device like that?
I know what a digital honey refractometer costs, and they're about £300, so I imagine that. £1,000?
£2 grand.
£2 grand.
Yeah. And Mum actually dropped one and broke one, so I wasn't very happy. It was an expensive bill to pay.
Oh God, imagine. At least it was your mum, not you, though. At least you get told off by your mum.
And then in here, these are where we've got all of our liqueurs. So sloe gin, cherry gin, plum gin, rhubarb gin, and the limoncello and the ones around that.
So you're just steeping the fruit?
Yeah, so in there you've got our gin as a base, sugar, and then whatever fruit it is.
Yeah.
And they're left for varying amounts of time, but between 6 and 12 months. The sloe gin a bit longer.
So are you picking enough fruit in the winter then? Like sloes, obviously it's October, November time, isn't it?
Yeah.
To see you through the year?
Yeah. So the problem we had the first year we did it is we didn't know how much we needed.
Yeah.
So we didn't pick enough.
Right.
But now we have a sort of better idea of how much we need. We pick whatever we can, put it in,
and then we
just the cherries is the worst for beating the birds.
Yeah.
And then the sloes are the worst to pick because they're so small and they just rip your hands apart with the thorns. So.
Like I say, I'm a fan of sloe gin. I've picked enough sloes in my time, but my little what's it called, cork with a load of pins in, and I use it then to
then we freeze them, so simulates the first process.
Yeah.
Then in here is where we bottle them.
There we go. So you just bring the torques in, the RBCs in.
Yeah, they go through there, through the filter, and then into the machine to be bottled, and then it automatically measures.
So is that a vacuum filler or?
Yeah, vacuum filler, and it's got a sensor on it, so it stops it at the right time. Put the cork in, and then you've got over there the labelling and the waxing. This is the honey.
I want to say I recognise it, so that's a little bit clear. So that's the honey gin, isn't it?
And then the London dry one as well.
Oh, amazing! And then everything. And there you go.
Labelling machine, so semi-automatic. You put the bottle in there, you push it in, and then it rolls the label on for you.
We've just got a new labelling machine for our honey jars. A bit longer. That's got a conveyor belt on it, but yeah, similar process.
This is the technical part, we call this. This is the waxing, which is as old school as it gets. It's just a saucepan and a mug.
It's a saucepan, a hot plate.
So you heat it up, put it in there, and then
you just dip in the lids in.
Dip it in by hand, and that's the job that takes the longest by far.
Right.
That takes, I can maybe do 50 bottles in half an hour to an hour, so it takes quite a while. So you imagine we sell about 4,000 to 5,000 bottles a year, so we're still really quite small time, but I wax every single one of those by hand. So 5,000 throughout the year. So you've touched every bottle that sells. You've touched every bottle. So every bottle that sells, I've labelled, bottled, and waxed.
And that's how they come out, like.
Yeah. So that's the sloe gin, rose herb, citrus, and all the rest onwards.
They do look nicer though with the wax.
Yeah, it's nice for them next to each other as well. You get the sort of differentiation between them. It gives it extra sort of personal finish as well.
Oh, that's brilliant. So how many bottles are you doing here, did you say?
About 4,000 to 5,000.
4,000 to 5,000.
Yeah.
And
so because it's only myself and Mum in the business. Mum runs the farm as well, so I tend to do all the production side. So I pretty much do label, bottle, and wax, and distill all those bottles. I pick all the fruit, anything you can imagine to do with running the business.
So have you got, I don't know, you might know what to tell us, have you got any exciting ideas coming up or new gins or?
We've got a couple in the works.
Works.
They're still sort of really in the starting phase.
I'm not going to show. I can see some Kindler jars down there with some bits and pieces in, and those little secret experimentals. Yeah. I won't show that on camera, but
it's always quite fun experimenting. Cause I
didn't know you could put lizards in gin. No, I'm kidding. But no, that's amazing.
So yes, that's pretty much the whole system from start to finish. And then once it's here, we put it on the shelf without the label on because labels can sometimes get battered and stuff. So we issue. The labels are put on when they're ordered, and then they go out.
Just before they go out.
And obviously we know what's what, so we wax them, so we can differentiate them.
It's just a great way of diversifying. Obviously, it's just, as I said, it's still a working farm, so it's an arable farm. You said you do chickens as well, don't you?
Older brother runs all that, and then I do this. We stay out each other.
You get some of your labels from the same place as we do. But no, it's amazing. It's just a great place to work. You know what I mean? So. And you said, so you could do a batch in a day here, so it takes all day, does it?
10 hours, yeah.
10 hours from start to finish.
Yeah, and then it's pretty much ready to be bottled from the day after. It can go out within 24 hours.
And what's your most popular gin then?
Oh, that's a good question. We get asked that a lot. Our original tends to be what we sell the most of.
Yeah.
Especially around Christmas because it's the safest bet for gifts and things.
Yeah.
People still like just a traditional gin. But the slow gin does go well as well. So people love a slow gin. It's the hardest one to make, so we make the least of it. Yeah,
because it takes that time and it's steeping a bit. Yeah. And I'm a fan of somebody laughing. Second time in a week I've mentioned this. A slowgasm.
Yeah.
So prosecco and slow gin. Great little drink there, great cocktail drink. Yeah. But no, that's amazing. That Sam. Thanks. I'll put the obviously website on and a link in the description. If you want to come down here, make your own gin. Meet Sam and have a play. And sounds like a great laugh. All online. Well, you can book online. Available slots.
We do vouchers as well. So
there you go. If you struggle for a gift,
local area, you can buy them a voucher, send it to them.
And it's coming up to Mother's Day. So if name 3 of your gins, that ideal for Mother's Day then.
You're sorry.
Name 3 of your gins that will be ideal for Mother's Day gifts.
Rhubarb, cherry. And
agri. It's got to be the agri one.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Well, we've got that here. This is what you can wear if you buy
there you go.
Agri contact one.
We put it on our social media last week, and obviously I'll get this video up soon. So obviously the honey to add to that, I brought some jars of honey up.
Yeah.
So you can win this. So if you buy a bottle of gin, you will then get entered 1 entry into the hamper. So obviously buy 2, that's 2 entries.
Yeah.
And you get a chance to win. So what's in there, Sam?
So we've got 2 bottles of the honey. We've got 1 of the London Dry. We've got 2 sheep candles. So I thought that'd be quite appropriate.
There you go. Cool.
And then we've got some miniatures, some signs, a jigger, and then some baubles. And we're going to put a calendar and some honey in as well.
Yeah. I said a couple of jars of honey, and I was going to put an agri contract.
So it's about £200.
200 quid for a £30 bottle of gin, so fantastic.
And that runs till the 18th of March, and then we'll send it out and it'll arrive in time for Mother's Day.
Great little gift that. Imagine giving that to your mother on Mother's Day. You'd be the best child ever, wouldn't you? Thanks again, Sam. That's awesome that. And I just think it's mega. You know, I just love coming to places like this. You know what I mean, seeing the different things are done. Obviously, we spoke on the phone, we spoke on text, and to actually say how honey gin's made. And well, thank you very much. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.